Broadcasting live from Canada Place on the plain of Vancouver, this is Tap Tap Concede. Except that we're not actually in Vancouver, but we were.
We could be. They don't know.
Well,
We packed up the whole set.
I mean, the people watching, we packed up this and took it with us.
Yeah, we're in Vancouver right now. It looks exactly the same.
Yep.
They don't need to know the difference.
This is a backdrop. It's virtual.
Regardless of where we are now,
Yeah.
we were also there during the Pro Tour, and we'll tell you all about that.
And you can't prove that we weren't.
Exactly. So, there. But first, let's do a crack pack. We got a bunch of new packs actually at Con Bravo in Hamilton, Ontario, where myself and Kathleen and Cameron and Alex were 3 weekends ago.
3.
And but those are now at the back of the. We have a lot of crack packs to get through. So
Yep.
all right, roll it.
All right. I'm going to roll it on my hand.
Sure.
18.
Okay, that's
That kind of works.
Judge.
Excuse me, that spin down die is not actually properly random. You can game that kind of die quite easily.
Yeah. Hey, Dark Ascension.
Dark
Ooh.
Ascension.
Dark Ascension.
And who's it from?
This is from Tim, who gave it to us at GP Vegas.
Ooh.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Ah, man.
All right, so what do we
So-
want to open this?
Huntmaster?
Huntmaster, right?
Foil
Yeah,
Huntmaster?
right. Got to get on that. How about a Crushing Vines?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, Crushing Vines, if you're interested, is 2 and a green for a sideboard card that is instant speed and says, choose one, destroy target creature with flying, or destroy target artifact.
Yeah, I mean, again, this was a completely fine sideboard card.
It really was, yeah.
But that's all it was.
Definitely green.
Skillful Lunge. What's that? There's 1 and a white for an instant speed. Target creature gets +2/+0 and first strike until end of turn.
Completely
Useful
reasonable.
combat track.
Yeah.
This was actually pretty good in the in the right deck. Torch Fiend.
Oh, yeah, this guy.
Torch Friend, so 1 and a red for a 2/1 with activated ability, single red mana, sacrifice Torch Fiend, destroy target artifact.
Yeah, this guy was a strict upgrade over Kamigawa red guy who was kind of similar, who was like a 2/1 for 1 and a red, but its activated ability was like sacrifice X and destroy artifact with CMC X,
Ugh.
I think.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
This seems fine. I don't recall it being amazing in this set.
No, it was not fantastic. I mean,
Like, it blew up,
It's the same
like-
with Crushing Vines. Like, you would bring it in if they had a big flyer or like the Juggernaut.
Yeah. But like Torch Fiend was just fine as a 2-drop, as a 2/1.
It also
So,
took me
it was
forever
fine.
to figure out what the art on this was.
Well, it's curtains burning away, right?
Yeah, this curtain's burning away, and there's the face behind it, and he's holding a torch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, so he's like burning it through. But for some reason on the card initially, I was like, I can't really tell what this is, and I just thought it was like some sort of animal that was on fire,
Yeah, that's fair.
like walking kind of. Yeah.
Well, it's like the art for Eidolon of the Great Revel took me forever to parse.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
I didn't realize that the
That's the one from
Innistrad.
Innistrad. Yeah.
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 well, it took me forever to
Galvanic
realize that
Juggernaut.
the bonfire in the middle of the art for Eidolon of the Great Revel is the actual Eidolon.
Yep.
Eidolon.
Galvanic Juggernaut, by the way, which is on screen at the moment, is the 4 colorless mana for a 5/5. It attacks each turn if able, as all Juggernauts do, but this one doesn't untap unless a creature dies. So it doesn't untap during your untap step, but if a creature dies, you can untap it, meaning you could get some fun 2-for-1s out of this.
Oh, yeah,
If your
'cause-
opponent attack with 2 creatures, you kill one with a spell, and then you untap your Juggernaut and block.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah, no, that card was profoundly irritating.
And what happens if you lose it? Well, you can get it back with a Grave Purge. 2 and a black. Instant. Put any number of creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library, and then draw a card. This was just reprinted, wasn't it?
Yeah,
In
dragons.
Dragons, yeah.
Yeah.
I like this card. People tell me it's garbage, but I like it a lot. Actually.
No, I think it's fine. It's certainly, especially for limited, it's good for, late game if you need to.
Yeah, get your bomb
If
back.
you need to
or-
draw basically 2 creatures, right? Because end
Yeah.
of their turn, you do it. You draw 1 creature, then you untap and draw another creature.
Or if you put 0 back in the graveyard.
Oh, and just draw a card.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yep.
true.
just like I need a solution now.
I just need to pay 3 and draw a card.
I'd just like to say that the Dragons of Tarkir version, strict downgrade in terms of fancy hats.
True, but
yeah.
I actually much prefer the art on the dragons than I do on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a lot more badass. Like Grave Purge, the Dark Ascension image is great with the hats and all, but
Well, what I like about the Dark Ascension one is that they're all pulling themselves out of it. And the Dragons one, it looks like some sort of Silumgar dragon is being like, all right, guys, get out.
yeah, it's like
Well,
rise and shine.
I think I prefer Niels Ham's artwork in general.
All right.
Zoltan Boros.
Oh, good old Zoltan Boros. How about, oh, this is a good one, Nephalia Sea Kite.
Yeah, this card's
I
sweet.
like this card a lot. It's a 3 and a blue, so 4 mana for a 2/3 bird with flying and flash.
Yeah, this card was sick.
If your opponent's playing blue and they pass the turn on turn 4
Yep.
with 4 mana up,
You're just like,
don't attack with your bear.
just show me the sea kite.
Just
dude.
don't,
Just
because
do
they
it.
will get you with a sea kite.
Yep.
Just be like, no attacks, and then they'll go, all right, end of turn, I flash into sea kite. But that's fine.
Yeah, 'cause
you're
you
still
still have
happy about it, 'cause
2/3,
it's
yeah.
still a 2/3 flyer. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Nephalia Sea Kite's great.
Yeah.
This guy's interesting. Falconwrath Torturer is a 2/1 for 2 and a black. So 3 mana for a 2/1. Sacrifice a creature, and it gains flying until end of turn.
Yeah.
If that creature was human, you also put a +1/+1 counter on Falconwrath Torturer. Because humans was a sub-theme.
Yeah.
This guy was never amazing.
No,
No.
it really wasn't.
This guy, yeah.
It kind of looked like it could have been, but it ended up just being kind of bad.
What was the lore with the Falconwrath vampires? Because Falconwrath Aristocrat was the mythic 4/1 that got indestructible.
Yeah. Well,
when
they
you
just, I
sacrificed a
mean,
creature.
judging by these cages, they kept humans around.
Because
Yeah.
the problem is that if you have a human, like let's just say you have a 2/1 human and a 2/1 this guy, I'd rather just have 2 2/1s than a
3/2
flying
than a 3/2
Then
that gets to fly this turn.
That only flies, for the one turn. Because to make this guy good, you want to be sacrificing crappy humans, but that means you're just playing crappy humans, which is not good. Because then you're playing crappy humans and this crappy card. So
No, but then you take like.
don't play this card, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you didn't draft this with Avacyn Restored, so there
No,
was no.
you did not.
No. Yeah. No.
All right.
What if you gave those humans a thing to hit people with? It's a heavy matic.
Oh, Heavy Matic.
This is like one of the few human matters equipments that I never played.
Yeah, it was just not anywhere near as good as the dagger.
No. So the heavy matic, it's 3 colorless, and 2 to equip, and the equipped creature gets +1/+1. But if it's a human, it gets another +1/+1.
Yeah. So for 5 mana, you can give a human +2/+2.
No.
No,
When you look
it's-
at all the uncommon ones, like the Butcher's Cleaver and the Silver Inlaid Dagger,
Yeah, those are just
And-
those are from Innistrad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So
but yeah, that's what I'm
There was
saying.
also
is-
a
yeah.
pitchfork that gave first strike.
yeah.
yep.
And like this is just
No,
sort of-
this was the worst.
it's
Yeah.
not great.
It's also a Matic. Like it's not even a
Why is
particular.
it- why is
like
it-
It's a heavy matic.
well, yeah. I mean, if somebody came after me with a Matic, I'd still be scared. But it's just not as
and why
cool
is
as
it-
like the Silver and Leg Dagger that
And
is on
why is
screen.
it buried in a tree stump? That's not how you respect a tool. A Matic's used for breaking rock.
Yeah, I mean,
Alright.
a sharpened pitchfork, the creature gets first strike. If it's human, it gets +1/+1 as well. But it's only 2 to play.
Yeah,
and 1
it's a
to equip.
lot
Yeah.
cheaper. Yeah,
Like paying 1 mana at the end of turn to move around first strike from the creature you attacked with to a creature you're blocking with
that's big game.
is way better than paying 2 to move to get a +2/+2.
Yep.
Anyway, Young Wolf.
This card was sweet. I like this card a
It's a
lot.
1/1 for 1. Now 1/1 for 1s are not great. Typically, it's 1/1 for a single green. To be clear, but this one has Undying, which is when it dies. So when you chump block with it, I mean, hopefully you can trade, but typically you're just sort of chumping with it in the early game. It comes back as a 2/2, and then when it dies that time, it dies for real. But yeah, Undying on a 1/1 for 1 is actually pretty all right.
Yeah, no, this card was super sweet.
Like the most reprinted utility land ever. It's Evolving Wilds,
Hooray!
which, as you will have seen in Cons Block and in Magic Origins, and
Zendikar.
I guess it
Return
hasn't.
to Zendikar.
I guess it hasn't been officially spoiled for Battle for Zendikar, but there was that one that
weird-
got found in a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah.
It hasn't been officially spoiled, but somebody's found one with a Battle for Zendikar.
Look,
Yeah.
it gets
Set
around. The land gets around. It's
Yeah.
fine.
It's you tap and sack it, search your library for a basic land, and put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. And don't do what our opponent did on
it was
Magic
like,
Online
missed like 2 turns
last night. Was just played it and then didn't do anything.
Yeah, just
weird.
crack it. Crack that shiz.
Now, I quite liked from Innistrad block the Scalbs,
Yeah.
which was the Innistrad. So there's two different kinds of zombies in within the lore of Innistrad. There's like your normal sort of undead skeleton zombies, which were typically more in black, and in blue you had Scalbs, which were sort of Frankenstein monsters.
Frankenstein's monster?
Zing.
Frankenstein's monsters.
Yes.
Is that what I'm meaning to say? All right.
It's okay.
Okay. They were Frankenstein-style monsters, is why I said it like that.
I believe you'll find that it was actually RoboCop's monster.
That'd be great if RoboCop was the guy who made the like guy. It's like I'm Professor RoboCop who designed it, and this is RoboCop's create. Yeah. Anyway, this one is the Relentless Scobs. There are 4/4 for 3 blue, and all the Scobs have something to do with this ability, which is as an additional cost to cast them, exile a creature from your graveyard. Some of them was 2 creatures. This one was 1 creature. So you get a 4/4 for 5 with Undying.
So
like,
good.
A 4/4 for 5 in blue is already actually very good because blue doesn't usually get big beef like that. But then if it dies, it comes back as a 5/5.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Or if you do get big beef in blue, it's something stupid like a Harbor Serpent that can't attack unless you have like...
Yeah. Can't attack unless controlling player is literally an island.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Relentless Scobs are sweet.
But like, the Scobs are really cool, but it always felt so bad when you were in blue and then your opponent was like Griptide, and you're like, why did you take that? That's my card.
And then you can't cast it again because you don't have a creature in your bin.
Yeah.
All right.
Pyreheart Wolf.
This card's sweet,
I
too.
like this one a lot. 2 and a red for a 1/1. That's pretty bad.
Seems
but
super bad.
whenever Pyreheart Wolf attacks, each creature you control, including itself, can't be blocked this turn except by 2 or more creatures. So, as you would know that now, I don't know if they're actually going to change this, but whenever Pyreheart Wolf attacks, each creature you control gains menace.
Yep.
And it also has Undying. So even if they trade for it the first time,
It'll come back.
you get a second go of it next turn.
Yep.
You could get very aggressive with Pyreheart Wolf and some other werewolves, and it was pretty sweet.
Even if you're doing the thing where you hang back and just beat in with all your other guys, and your opponent rips removal,
Yeah.
everyone still has menace. Like there was Bloodchin Rager in Dragons of Tarkir that did the same thing for warriors.
Yeah.
Good cards.
Speaking of good cards, oh wait,
No, that's not a good card.
I know. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is bad. Shattered Perception. 2 and a red for a sorcery. Discard all the cards in your hand and then draw that many cards.
No, just
No.
put it under your leg with the rest of the cards and let's move on.
You can flash it back for 5 and a red.
No, moving on.
Why?
This card's terrible. Never play this card.
Hey,
It's bad.
Do you remember this card, Wheel of Fortune?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretend that card was never printed,
Yeah.
and
And
we'll
then,
just
then this is an interesting effect.
mill yourself for. No, why? Why?
Like, I guess if everything in your hand is trash,
Yeah, but then
you're running Shattered Perception in your deck.
which is also trash.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card is not good.
Oh wow.
God.
Hang on, that's a rare. But let's go to our flip card first.
Okay.
Chosen of Markov.
Good card.
This is our double face card because every pack of Dark Ascension had a double face card. Same with Innistrad, which of course you have to reveal to the table as you're drafting. Chosen of Markov is 2 and a black for a 2/2. She's a human, and you tap her and an untapped vampire you control to transform Chosen of Markov. So you get a 2/2 for 3, which is not amazing, but then you can tap her and another one to transform into Markov's Servant, which is just a 4/4. So this is one of the less exciting double face cards, but
It was solid.
she's a human, she's a vampire. Those
Yeah.
are relevant subtypes. You get a 4/4. You sort of have to take a turn off, but
Well, like 2/2s for 3, we've seen these recently, right? If you had a morph card that unmorphed for the cost of tap it and
yeah.
another creature, would that be okay?
Can you remind me when you transform a card, does it leave the battlefield and return, or does it stay?
It stays.
It stays,
Only the
I
new
think.
planeswalkers. So, like, equipment stays on them.
Because it would say exile and then return it to
Okay.
that's what the planeswalkers say, right?
Yeah.
Is that when they gain their spark, you actually exile them and then
bring them back.
return them
Transformed.
So
you
these just
could-
flip.
So you could, if your opponent walked into it, you could set up a situation where you block with Chosen of Markov. You block their 2/2 with your 2/2, then tap Chosen and another vampire and transform into a 4/4 and eat their 2/2.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool. And what's up, Paul?
I was just going to say, in defense of Shattered Perception, which is actually, because I was looking at it on Gatherer, and it's not actually rated that badly. Because apparently it was actually a deck at one point with Burning Vengeance.
Yeah, well, I mean, like...
When you were just trying to get cards into your graveyard.
I guess.
However you could.
I ran
I
a
mean,
Burning Vengeance deck.
I mean, I'm thinking you've limited myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's terrible, but
Well, no,
you ran the deck.
but this was not what you wanted to be doing in the Burning Vengeance deck either. You wanted to be doing Think Twice and Faithless Looting. And the instant speed one, that flashback for blue... It
Desperate
was
Ravings?
Desperate Ravings.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's how you filled your bin. And then you did those three. And then had, like, Snapcasters.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Also, consensus is that she looks like Katy Perry.
Yes,
It
I
does
remember.
kinda, doesn't she?
I remember that joke.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, what's our rare?
I want to see that video. Our rare is a sweet one. Feed the Pack.
Dear God.
5 and a green for an enchantment. How good does a 6-mana green enchantment have to be? Well, at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-token creature. If you do, put X 2/2 green wolves onto the battlefield, where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness.
There was some big butted stuff
I'm
that you
thinking
could draft.
of Hollowhenge Spirit,
Yeah.
which was a 4/5 for 5, a 4/5 4/5. That it had a morbid trigger that if a creature died this turn and you played it, you gained 5 life, which was not insignificant.
Right.
But yeah, pitch that guy, EOT, get 5 2/2 wolves.
Yeah.
Well, this was also a set with a lot of, like, claustrophobia effects floating around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
if
could
one of
just
your guys gets
sacrifice
tapped
it.
down. Oh, not Hollowhenge Spirit. I'm sorry.
Hollowhenge Beast.
That's the one.
Administer Hollowhenge Beats with the Hollowhenge Beast.
yeah.
Oh, that's the 5/5. What am I thinking of?
wasn't
The
there
one that gains the 4/5.
what was it?
Hollowhenge Scavenger.
Scavenger.
Thank you. Turns out there's a lot of stuff hanging around the Hollowhenge.
Was there what was it? Was it called Essence of the Wild?
Oh, the
Was
big
that
dude.
the card that the 6/6?
Yeah.
That whenever you played any other creature, it came in as a copy of that 6/6. I remember there was one draft that I did online.
Yeah. Was that one that we streamed or
I
something?
feel like it was a stream draft. It wasn't an Academy draft, but it
No.
was a stream draft. Yeah, that guy right there.
So the Essence of the Wild is 3 green for a 6/6 avatar. Creatures you control enter the battlefield as a copy of Essence of the Wild.
Yeah.
So EOT, you sack like something with 5 toughness to feed the pack, and you get 5 6/6s.
And then you can just keep doing that.
And then you can just sack the copies.
You
It'd be
just
like,
sack the copies.
I'll sack
Well,
one
no,
of these Essence copies.
It's non-token.
non-token, right? Well, I
Right.
guess you sack the original.
No,
Yeah,
but that
but, like-
those aren't tokens, right? Like that's not how that
But
works.
these are tokens.
Oh yeah.
The wolves
yeah.
are tokens.
Yeah, but I'm talking about sacking the
Yeah, so
essences.
then you sack the essence,
yeah.
the original, the one
Yeah.
that's not a token, and then you get 6 more because all the copies are still there.
Yeah.
It's
It was pretty silly.
heck of a thing.
What was it? I was going to say a thing. No, that seems like actually a fun green rare.
It was super cool.
Yep. I don't think I would first pick that though.
I think
Well,
we did once.
You like if
Actually,
you
yeah. What are
so
we first
like
picking out
you
of this
first
thing?
pick that and you aim to completely and utterly build around it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just what you're doing. Because otherwise, I'm probably just taking the Spellskite.
The sea
Or
kite?
the Sea Kite,
Kite?
not the Spellkite.
Sea Kite, yeah.
The Sea Kite.
I was going to say it's probably
Well-
the sea kite, but
It's the only decent. Well,
I might take Pyreheart Wolf because there's no other good red here. Well, there's a Torch Fiend, but
That's true. Yeah, there's
alternate
I think I'd probably just take the Sea Kite.
or you could cut white.
by taking Skillful Lunge.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
No,
No,
I mean, you're
it-
not really making a
a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think either Sea Kite or Pyre Heart Wolf. You could maybe take Relentless Gobs, but I never knew if you wanted
I don't
to go
think
in
you
on
first pick
that early.
No, but you could take the rare and just build around it, right? Like there's no reason you couldn't just build around Feed the Pack. So
All right, those are now in the Crack-a-Pack box.
hooray! The system works.
It does.
It's getting full, by which I mean it has 2 packs
Got
in
2
it.
boosters in it.
Yeah. No
So-
value yet, but it'll get there. Don't worry.
So the Pro Tour. That was exciting.
It was
Very.
exciting.
How was it for those of you who got to watch it? Because we didn't get to
I didn't
watch
get to
it.
watch any of it. Well,
I
that's
got to
not
watch
true.
I got to watch the final
We
match.
watched the finals.
That was
Sweet.
Yeah.
So we were there. We were in Vancouver at the Pro Tour because we were filming. We were doing an episode of Friday Nights that you'll see
Next week.
Next week, it should be going up Friday the 14th.
Yep.
And we were in Vancouver on the Friday of the Pro Tour, but we were filming off site, and then Saturday we were on site and getting to see sort of how the Pro Tour works, which is
Really
pretty
cool.
amazing.
Because we've been to our
Tons
fair
of
share
GPs.
our fair share of GPs at this point over the last couple of years, but the Pro Tours have always sort of been a little far. There's not really much of a reason to travel to a Pro Tour if you're
us.
not working at the Pro Tour or playing in the Pro Tour. To be honest, if we hadn't have been working this Pro Tour, I probably still would have gone just because it was so close.
Yeah.
I would have gone this time. 'Cause
But
it is
certainly I'm not going to fly or travel much farther than like Victoria to Vancouver to go to a Pro Tour because I'd rather just sit at home with no pants on and watch it.
yeah. If you do,
which you can't do there.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's frowned upon.
Yeah, I tried.
If you do end up going, here's sort of what you can expect as a spectator, because I imagine that the just based on pure statistics, the majority of you listening are not Pro Tour competitors, as we are not. There is a very, very small merchandise area, like nothing compared to a GP. There was 2 vendors. There was Face to Face Games and Stronghold, which are a Vancouver and a Canada-wide vendor, and then an actual sort of like Pro Tour marketplace that was selling Pro Tour exclusive gear, like a
T-shirts,
messenger bag, T-shirt,
hoodies.
some really cool hoodies. James and I each got the alternate color nickel bolus Funko.
Yep.
The Pro Tour exclusive one.
The Pro Tour exclusive, yeah.
There's an area to watch the coverage. You can actually watch the coverage live,
Yeah.
like not on a delay, because it's being run from the coverage area. There's like 3 rows of couches.
Yep,
and then,
and
a, bunch
then
of
a bunch of chairs.
And there's charging stations for your.
That was the first time they did that,
devices.
apparently,
That
so.
was sweet.
Yeah, that was really nice.
And so you can watch it there. And it's separated enough from the actual play area that, of course, the people can't hear the coverage.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is something that they always do, but at least at this one, they were firing free drafts.
It was
Not-
the first time.
Yeah, that is not something that they regularly do. And I don't know, don't listen to us. Don't go to your next Pro Tour just because you're expecting free drafts, because I don't know if that's like
That reminds me.
a thing that they're going to do at every Pro Tour.
They did tell us if we enjoyed it to tweet at Wizards.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll do
saying
that.
that it was.
So the way that the drafts worked, they weren't, I mean, they were free, but they weren't just like take 8 of your buddies and go in.
Yeah.
The draft had to have a host. And the host was either a pro player, so somebody who was playing in the Pro Tour that could come over. So on day 1, you couldn't get anybody like that because everybody was obviously playing, or a member of Magic R&D. And there were a handful of people up there specifically for that reason.
And that's easier to do for this one because Vancouver's so close to
So
Seattle.
close to Seattle,
But
yeah.
other Pro Tours might have a harder time.
Yeah, exactly. And they were kind enough to let us host on the Sunday, which
Because
was,
I went up
which
and I
is
was
great.
like, I want to sign up for a draft. And they were like, actually, we're short on hosts right now, and
Yeah.
you guys could host one.
Yeah.
So there was like, play Magic with Loading Ready Run, which was fun. But yeah, that was sweet because, I mean, it's free draft.
Yeah, so
to-
that was one half of the hall that they've basically taken out.
Yeah.
And then on the other half of the hall was the actual play area. And they had the feature match area right out in front, center stage. Couldn't miss it. You could actually walk up, which is something that I don't think they've ever actually done before. Generally, the feature match area is sort of hidden away.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what Marshall was telling me. This is the first time that they've really done it so that you could actually just walk up and theoretically,
there's a barrier,
there's a
obviously.
barrier, yeah, but you could actually walk up to that barrier and actually see the front table match, the King of the Hill match, which was really cool. And then behind that was all the other play area, which was separated on day one into two separate sort of roped off areas with a pathway down the middle. So you could pretty much wander around and watch basically any game you wanted. It was a little tricky to watch like the games right in the center, but anyone on the outskirts, you could easily just sort of, you could sit there and bird their match. And
It basically looked like a very, very small GP.
Yes.
In a carpeted room, which is unusual.
Yeah.
For a GP.
Yeah.
So it was a lot quieter.
It
which
was
nice because there's less people and it was carpeted.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of it felt. I mean, I'm sure that the people doing it were having a variety of emotions, but as a spectator, it felt way more relaxed than a GP.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then behind the feature match area, and there was windows also into
Studio B.
Studio B, which is where the news desk and the interview chairs are, with the big wall with the projection where they talk about.
Yeah.
They do like the deck techs and stuff, and Rich Hagan and BDM sit there and talk about the news and whatever.
Yep.
And then behind that was basically Cape Canaveral Mission Control.
Yeah.
Like when you consider there's a massive difference between a GP, which is typically like Rashad,
Yes.
and a couple text coverage guys, and then maybe like
It's like
Garth.
and like Garth, and then like three video guys, like Marshall plus
Yeah.
X plus X.
I mean this. So they there's another whole company that Wizards contracts for this.
Yeah.
And in the back there is rows and rows, and like so there's someone doing lighting. There's someone doing like camera changes for Studio A, which is the feature match area.
Yeah.
Someone doing camera changes for Studio B, which is the news desk thing, because there's three cameras. Well, four, because there's the sky
The
camera,
sky camera, yeah.
for each set. Then someone deciding which of like Studio A or B or graphics or whatever is actually going out on the stream. There's someone changing the graphics for the screen that is being displayed
Yep.
in the thing. There's the sound technicians. Like there is
Oh yeah, I mean,
there is way more stuff going on back there than I expected.
I would say between like the staff of everybody who's running all the tech, all the writers, all the coverage guys, all the WotC employees that are there running the show as well, there was probably like 60 or 70 people back there.
It was crazy.
Back there making the Pro Tour a
There was
thing.
also the Japanese restream.
Yeah, there was a Japanese
and
restream.
they had their own crew of probably 15 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot, yeah.
And then there was also like the wardrobe area
Yep.
Yeah.
for all the coverage people.
And the booth was back there. The booth
Yeah,
was cool.
the soundproof
which
booth.
was completely soundproof, because it's not that far from the feature match area, but it's completely soundproof and air conditioned.
Well, yeah.
We were talking
Definitely need to be.
we were talking to Hélène Bergeau, who's the director of organized play, and she was saying that at one of the Pro Tours, I can't remember which one. I think it might have been somewhere in Spain. It might have been Barcelona. That the event site was not air conditioned, but the booth was.
So
And so anytime there was a break, all the backstage crew would swarm into the booth and just like stand there like sardines, being like, "Oh, this is so nice."
That's gross.
Yeah, it's when you saw the footage, which is from this like weird little robo camera, because there's not much space in the booth, so the booth camera angle is this very, very small camera.
Yeah.
When it cuts to that angle and there's three people in there, like for the finals, when it was like
Yeah.
Rich and LSV and Brian.
Yep.
And it looks totally fine on camera, and we're standing outside it going, how are they physically fitting three people at that desk?
Yeah, because the booth is smaller than this area.
Oh yeah.
It is smaller than our set.
Than our
Yeah.
set, yeah.
Like it was very, very, like very, very small. But yeah, it's amazing the amount, like there's cables running everywhere, and there's so many
Yep.
computers and stuff that the amount of people it takes to put on the coverage of the Pro Tour, because I think the Pro Tour coverage looks phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it absolutely does.
I think it was really, really good. I underestimated how much stuff goes on backstage. I really want to go to another one and not do Friday nights, but just film like a look backstage at the
Look
Pro Tour.
backstage, yeah.
I think it looks really, really cool. But
Yeah.
so that was neat. And then we got to actually like see the actual Pro Tour happen, which was fun. Reading about all the weird decks that were
Yeah.
happening. I don't think anyone expected the Soul Artifact to show up.
Nope.
No.
Well, I mean, like,
But-
that was a deck, like, last year, right? Like, for that
Was it?
one tournament, Reed Duke, I think, wasn't it, that played it?
I don't remember.
Well, it's that deck is it seems very meta dependent, right? Like if you get a read on the meta and decide that there's just not much artifact hate going around,
Yeah.
then suddenly that deck gets exceptional. But yeah, the other deck that did really well, the deck that won, the mono red deck, is also kind of meta dependent in that it's meta independent a bit. Like I say in Modern, the reason I play Storm is that if you don't know what the meta is, don't interact. Right? So if you can't get a read on the meta going into an event, mono red seems also quite good.
Yep.
Because it.
I mean, the top 8 was 3 red aggro decks, 3 Ensoul Artifact decks, and 2 Obzon Control. And I know that we were talking to, because we were coming and going from the backstage area because we were filming, we were talking to Wizards when they were preparing for Sunday, and they were looking at the top 8 deck lists and going, tomorrow's going to be a fast top 8.
It
Yeah.
was.
And it was.
It was
wrapped up 2
incredibly
hours
quick.
early?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
About that.
From their estimates, because, games, matches can go to time in the top 8. Like they're best of 3, and games can take a while. And, well, I don't know if they'd actually do they have time in the top 8?
No, they don't have time, but
By going to time, I mean they can take a long time.
You go to it's a
Yeah,
reasonable
an hour,
rate of
right.
play. So
Something like that. But yeah, these were very, very fast. I liked that Mike Sigrist, who was playing in the finals with the Ensoul Artifact deck, was using very old white-bordered ornithopters.
yeah,
I liked-
antiquities. They
Yeah.
were sweet.
Well, no, they were black bordered because they were the.
Oh, they were
Yeah,
black-bordered.
black-bordered
I thought they were
antiquities.
white-bordered. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I liked that he was playing
Just-
basics from Origins.
Yeah,
where
just
everyone else
random-
had like either old like beta lands.
Yeah, people have
or,
played beta lands or like their Zendikar
unlands
Fulls or the
or-
unlands or
Yeah.
just like some fancy land, and then here's this dude with just like
And-
he
yeah.
got to the tournament was just like, oh yeah, I guess I need like islands and stuff.
Yeah, it's
where's
like, what-
that? Where's the draft chat
Yeah,
box?
yeah. Where are the draft lands? Hurry up! And
Hey,
it's
Paul,
like
was this ornithopter printed in Chronicles? Okay. I swear I had whiteboard. Maybe he had white sleeves. But yeah, I like that you were talking about the land, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, where's that from?
that is just the.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I distinctly remembered them being
Yeah.
black bordered though.
That's super cool, though. that he was just like, here's an ornithopter.
There's quite a few different versions that use that feature.
I was just really thrilled to see a deck do so well that cost roughly what its sleeves cost.
Yeah.
Right? Like if it wasn't for the Temples of Enlightenment, the Ensoul Artifact deck would be super cheap.
Yep.
And the red deck wasn't even that expensive.
Yeah, well, it was running
it's expensive now because Abbots of Carol
Carol
Keep
Keep.
went up.
yeah, and I
Or
mean
Temple
like,
of Epiphany, I mean.
Epiphany. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
And like Eidolon of the Great Revel is also like
It's a couple bucks.
yeah, but there's nothing like Goblin Guide in it,
No.
right?
No, and I mean, most of these decks kind of go away on rotation, right? So
Yeah, but like
Well, the Ensoul Artifact deck does, but
Yeah.
Abbott, the red deck loses the Eidolon.
Well, I mean, the red deck never goes away. There's always a red deck. Yeah.
yeah, but like these were also decks that were razor honed to kill Obzon. Like they were decks that were developed with killing siege rhinos in mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like either you make a 5/5 or you roast it.
Yeah. What I liked was when Sigrist got himself into a situation where if he cast Ensoul Artifact on an Ornithopter, then Yoel Larson could Wild Slash
Or
the
yeah.
Ornithopter in response and kill it. But if he cast it on the Ghostfire Blade,
Yes.
you can't kill a Ghostfire Blade with damage before the Ensoul Artifact goes on because it's not a creature. And then afterwards, it's a 5/5.
Yep.
Yeah. So you like I remember that play because Yoel Larson actually like taps land response.
Yeah,
and
he's like,
shows
huh?
The lightning strike.
yeah, he showed the lightning strike and
Yeah.
he's like
Never mind. Can't do
look, you
that.
wave it off.
Yeah, let me just... No, wait.
Yep.
Guess I have this lightning strike in hand.
But
Oops.
then there was the final match and the final game. and that mulligan to 3.
The mulligan to 3.
That
and
kind of
still
almost,
putting up a fight.
yeah, that almost kind of, I mean, not necessarily almost kind of got there, but
It could've.
certainly lasted longer than I think most people would have expected a
'Cause
mulligan to 3.
He had, like, he had an Ensol artifact and an Ornithopter.
And a temple, I thought, was his land.
Yeah, I think so. But he was just in the situation where Joel Larson had. So okay, so the very, very finals of the Pro Tour are best of 5.
Yep.
And it went to game 5. Like these were this back and forth slugfests. Routinely, as you commented at the time, keeping one landers. Both of these decks could happily keep a one land hand, which is also just nuts and wonderful at the same time. The finals of Pro Tour and these people are keeping one landers. I love it. And so Mike Sigrist has a very much so. Mike Sigrist has a 7 card hand that he can't keep, and he goes to 6, and it's borderline, but he thinks he can do better on 5, and it's the game 5 of the finals of the Pro Tour. I mean, you don't want to do something that's like goes to 5, it's not keepable. Goes to 4, it's bad. And we're all watching, and we're watching with the crowd, or just beside the crowd at the Pro Tour. And every time he goes to mulligan, everyone's like, "No!"
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
And then he goes to 3. He mulligans to 3. But what was his 3? Do you remember?
I really can't remember.
I
exactly
really want to
what
say it was an ornithopter,
A temple.
an Ensol, and a temple.
I don't think he had the Ensol. I think it was something else. I think it was a shrapnel blast.
Might have been.
It might have been. But anyway, the point is, like, he was in a situation where he, on turn 3, he had this 5/5 flyer with a shrapnel blast in hand and was almost going to be able to sort of get there. But in the meantime, he was at 4 life.
Yep.
And
With
Joel
an Eidolon.
Larson had 2 Eidolon of the Great Revel out, meaning if Mike Sigrist cast any spell that cost 3 mana or less,
it would just kill him.
He's taking 4 damage from the 2 Eidolons before his spell even resolves. And there was nothing in his deck.
Isn't that what he did in the end? Is he he cast something that just killed?
He cast shrapnel blast targeting himself.
Yeah, Joel Larson went to attacks, and he was like, response. Out on my turn.
Right.
Sacrifice this guy targeting me.
Yep.
Shrapnel blast is to 1 and a red, sacrifice an artifact to deal 5.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like he won that way.
Yeah, well, it's like that card just kills you out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous. So
But
it was cool.
It was
a
a
lot of
really,
fun.
really amazing finals. And now Joel Larson has won a Pro Tour, which is pretty cool. A lot of
I really liked, was it Kibler saying that now maybe that Joel Larson has won a Pro Tour,
He can have an
independent identity?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because there's been this joke for years that Brian Kibler, the handsomest man in Magic, and then this Joel Larson from Sweden, who just the thing is, Brian Kibler and Joel Larson do not look that similar, but by virtue of just sort of being attractive, people are like, "Oh, look at Joel Larson. He's like the Swedish Brian Kibler." And it's like, that's a weird joke.
Yeah,
and so
he has a haircut and bathes.
Yeah, weird. Yeah. And so, I like that Brian Kibler was like, maybe now Joel Larson can have his own identity now that he's finally he's won a Pro Tour. And although Nate Holt from Walking the Plains tweeted, Joel Larson doing so well that they call him, or that they.
Oh,
the Swedes call Brian Kibler the American Larson. That's what it was.
Yeah. That hair.
yeah. No, it's a fine haircut.
Big
Nice
hair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That
Simic.
10-day stubble,
Yeah.
right?
that microphone.
It's like 3 weeks double for me. So yeah, it was super fun to go. We got to also play some Origins, which was nice.
Yep.
Could you tell me about the judge draft that you did?
Oh yeah. So
This is weird because we were drafting with the coverage team.
Yeah.
On
It was
Saturday
on
night.
the Saturday night. So
And
it was.
a bunch of you wanted to go to bed, but also wanted. You wanted to draft, but should go to bed.
Yeah, so it was like 11:30, and we're like, we should go to bed because all these guys have to be back. Like it was myself and Marshall and BDM and Rashad and Tim Willoughby and Greg Collins, who basically kind of runs the show. and we're like, we should go to bed, and we let this one draft fire, which you two were both in, and we're just like, whatever. But then one of them was like, let's do a judge draft. And everybody's like, yeah, let's do that. So this is the judge draft works like this. You draft, but you don't actually play. So you draft your deck, and you
build your deck.
And you build your deck. There's a couple ways to actually do this. We did it sort of the most simple for sake of just getting ourselves out of there. But basically, you sit down and you draft, and you build your deck. And then instead of playing the games, generally you would actually pair everybody up, like in games, like make a bracket. And you would have a judge or 2 or 3 people come over and just look at the decks and decide who wins.
Not like a magic judge.
I mean, it could be. But,
it could be, but someone acting as a third-party advocate.
An impartial third party.
Yeah.
So they come in and they're like, all right, between these 2 decks, this person's going to win and this is why. And you can actually argue your points. And from what I understand, there's been cases where judge drafts actually just take longer than regular drafts because they get so heated.
Well, that's what happens when you ask Rashad to defend his deck.
And people just get so argumentative, and it's just hilarious. And I've heard these stories, but that night we're just like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to build our decks. We're going to walk away. And Kathleen was there, and she wasn't in your draft either because she was going to go to bed. And we're like, Kathleen, walk over there and just pick a winner. Pick your favorite deck.
We're not telling you who drafted what.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you who drafted what, and we're not even going to tell you like which deck do you think is going to win. Just your favorite deck. And the majority of people at the table kind of know Kathleen and her fondness for black blue.
Yeah.
So I think probably everybody at the table sat down thinking they were going to try to draft black blue. Only one person did, and that was Tim, and he got way too cute. Like, it was a cool deck and I loved it, but for Kathleen's taste it just wasn't going to work. So
what did he have?
He had like a couple of those like deep sea terrors, and like he was trying to do some like weird like graveyard discarding shenanigans. It was weird, and it just didn't really, I mean, again, it was hilarious, and I would have loved to have seen him play it out, but it was kind of awkward. And I don't remember what everybody drafted. I drafted a super mediocre black-green sort of LV kind of deck, but not super great.
Elvish.
Elvesque.
And basically the what we had said was whoever wins gets all the cards after the packs were cracked. So in the end, Marshall. It came down to Marshall and BDM. BDM had drafted a really aggressive black-red deck, which looked super good, and I think it probably was the deck that would have won that draft. And Marshall drafted, I think, just a really good. I feel like it was like a blue-white, just aggressive tempo flyers. Just a really good deck, like just a solid deck that I think Kathleen really liked a little bit more than what BDM was doing. So Marshall ended up winning and taking all the cards, of which there wasn't actually anything of real great value. So it was a great way to draft and get out of there within about half an hour. Which was fine. Like that. I mean, 90% of the time you just want to draft. You don't even care about playing.
Yeah.
See, this is a different world than most of you listening, because like the coverage team, they have product, because the coverage team has to be knowledgeable of the drafting, right?
Yeah.
And so Wizards gives them some amount of product to do these drafts, where it's like, just get your hands on the cards, figure out how it plays and everything. But sometimes it's like, well, we have to be there at 7 a.m. So yeah, let's just
draft and do it. And these guys draft a lot.
When you're not paying for the packs, you don't mind just sort of like zipping your way through the drafting process.
Yeah, like they draft a lot. Like you guys left on the Sunday, and I stuck around for an extra day, and I drafted 4 more times.
Oh man!
After you guys
So
left,
jelly.
it was ridiculous. Like it's just like I want to go to bed, and then we woke up,
Draft him, man.
and then we went for breakfast, and then we came back to the hotel and did one more draft before everybody had to leave. So
Sweet.
yeah,
What I was trying to remember about decks that I actually drafted for real. I split the finals of one of the drafts at the actual event site on Sunday, and I'm trying to remember what I actually had in the deck. Oh, yes, this was the great play. Sorry. So, I brought in from my sideboard Orbs of Warding, which is a 5-mana artifact that says you have hexproof, and if a creature would deal damage to you, prevent one of that damage. So I got this thing like third to last pick in the draft.
As you should.
Because it's not great.
It's not that good.
No. But I was like, you know what? I'll take this because there was nothing else in the pack for me. I was like, I'll take this and I'll bring it in as sideboard tech against Thopters. Because if someone has crazy Thopters, they've got like, I have these 6 1/1 flyers. This means they don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Right? Because it reduces their damage by 1. So I was like, okay, sure. And I brought it in against this very aggressive Boros deck.
Yeah.
Not because he had Thopters. He did. He had some. He had like the Crafter. And he had like a couple Thopter things. I think he had the Founder of the Consoles as well. But I mainly brought it in just to reduce damage a little bit. Because I was in a white-blue deck. I don't remember my own deck at all. That's weird. I have it together at home. I'll try and bring it in. But they were very, very close games, the first 2 games. And I felt if I could just reduce his damage output a little, I could get the edge to win. Just, turning his 3/3s into only dealing 2 to me. Just like little sort of edges like that. And so I played out all my stuff that was actually, affecting the board in any meaningful way, and then I had this in my hand. I was like, all right, you know what, here. I'm cast Orbs of Warding. And my opponent's like, what? And grabs it and reads it. And I'm like, look, this is a free draft. I'm trying it out. Why not? I figure it might be good. And he's like, okay. And we both have a laugh. We're like, he thinks I'm playing a dumb card. I think I'm playing a dumb card. We have a laugh about it. It's fine. Couple turns later, I make this attack with 2 big creatures, like what's the 4/4 angel? The herald of the masses.
The one that gives the +1/+1 counter to anything that has a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah. It was that, and I also had a Blessed Spirits with
I don't remember what it's called, but yeah,
Grasp of the Hieromancer on it.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm attacking with these 2 big flyers, and he's like, all right, tap white, Celestial Flare. Celestial Flare reads, target player discards or sacrifices an attacking or blocking creature. So he casts Celestial Flare, and I'm like, I have hexproof.
Yeah.
Because it targets the player. And he's like, oh no. And looks over at his brother who's sitting at the table and is like, hexproof. So he can't cast Celestial Flare, and I end up getting in for a ton of damage, meaning that he's basically dead to any of my creatures the next turn. And so it was like, yes, Orbs of Warding. Nobody saw it coming because why would you?
Also, still not I still don't think it's a good card, though.
I'm not recommending it.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was really funny. I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's see how this card is.
Like, I think you could make a case for it against cards like Flare or like a lot of burn spells. Like if their play is like,
I mean, he had 2 Celestial Flares that I knew about, so I was like, I don't feel too bad bringing this in.
But I think the prevent 1 damage is not very good.
No,
especially considering it costs 5 to cast. Mm-hmm. So by the time, like, best case scenario, you play this down on 5, your opponent's already had 4 or 5 turns themselves to play out theoretically a hyper aggressive deck. And it's just like, you're probably pretty low at this point. Mm-hmm. And if as long as they can just keep up that massive creatures, then...
Well, yeah.
Oh, I was white-black, that's why, because I had Blessed Spirits and Blightcaster, stuff that cares about enchantments. Sure. So I was able to do... I played out Blightcaster, and there was a turn where he read Blightcaster, he looked at his board, which was 1 creature at the time, and he read Blightcaster again and looked at how much mana I had and was like, how many cards in your hand? And I said, like, 3 or something, and he's like, okay. All right, and he plays out a second 2 toughness creature and passes the turn.
Yeah,
and I had the card in hand already, and I was immediately just like, Weight of the Underworld, kill both your creatures.
Yeah,
bash, right? And that's exactly the play that he was worried about happening.
Yeah.
But he was like, well, I'm not going to play around it, and it ended up costing him. But yeah, that's the white black enchantments deck is super fun. And yeah, I'm not recommending Orbs of Warding.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it worked out well in this case.
Sure.
So
All right.
Broadcasting live from Magic Christmas Land.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly, yeah. So yeah,
All right.
that was the Pro Tour. It was a fun time.
It was.
I guess that's it.
I think so.
Okay. Well, we'll be back next week to talk about more stuff. In the next couple weeks, we will be doing the Magic Origins Nickname podcast. Had many questions about that. Less so than I've had less questions about this than before. So I think people now know that it's coming.
Okay.
I think they know to expect it now. So yeah, Nicknames podcast forthcoming. But until then, this podcast is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun, which lets us do not just this podcast, but many, many others and many of our video content as well. So please check that out. We hugely value your support, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.